Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for January 16th, 2025. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com. That's what I use to manage my information overload. You can too. But today I'm talking solo about these 10 articles. If TikTok is banned, this really sucks. Air. The warmth of power plants. 404 hiker not found. A meteorite crash in Canada gets recorded. CFPB sues for regulating, however this article is. I just saw the title. I thought it was really interesting. Anyway, SpaceX rocket debris, new Gremlins and Goonies movies, ISS Spacewalk 2025, and a fine for not parking a bike correctly. I guess no one is above the law. Again, I am Mayor Watt. Go over to ohmtown.com and become a citizen, and you can help us by submitting articles and sources and whatnot and talking, and follow us on YouTube and Twitch, and ring the bell and ding the doorbell, and send the carrier pigeon. There's a Discord and a Patreon, and the podcasts exist as well. 6 podcasts are weekly, and 1 podcast, Non Sequitur News, is a daily. Unfortunately, the last 2 days, Mayor Watt has been, that's me, has been busy and not able to do the show. But I'm making up for it right now because this is a time machine episode for January 16th, 2025. All right, going to make these quick. Let's go. First article was aggregated into Non Sequitur News. That's this show. Meta could rake in billions in ad dollars if TikTok is banned because they're no longer spending the ad money over there. They're going to move it over to Meta and to YouTube and others. There's some weird, what do they call it? Red Note or something like that, which is another Chinese TikTok clone kind of a thing, which it's going to get banned, for crying out loud. Anyway, a TikTok ban could happen as early as January 19th. The ban could mean that the migration of users and billions of ad dollars from competitors, or from TikTok, will go over to competitors. Meta, it says here, could gain up to $3.38 billion solely through freed up ad revenue. Don't even need to read the article to make sense of that. Lloyd Lee and Laura O'Reilly over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. Yeah, there's a few others that are out there, but apparently TikTok was the easiest, the least friction, and got the most people talking about it, and that's what made it flourish, bloom even. So in any case, it says a TikTok ban would hobble one of the largest social media companies in the U.S., leaving time for users spent on the app and billions of dollars in ad revenue up for grabs, according to analysis from Business Insider's sister company, eMarketer. So one social media giant's loss could be another social media giant's gain. The analysis estimated that Meta, owner of Instagram and Facebook, could reap anywhere from $2.46 to $3.38 billion in ad revenue. This is a riff off of what the market share is. It has to be what the market share is for that Meta has, as opposed to things like YouTube and Twitter and so on. Anything that has that little micro, it's not even micro. I mean, it's the portrait instant publishing. It's just another form of streaming, really. But the algorithm is what makes it so useful, apparently. And people like the short blips, and that's what made TikTok really famous. Now they've got a storefront where you can purchase stuff, so that's really wild. I got invited to that, but I never really thought I'd take advantage of it. Anyway, the upside of a TikTok ban won't be concentrated on Meta. Alphabet's YouTube and Snapchat may also see benefits with TikTok out of the way. And for advertisers, a looming TikTok ban should serve as a prescient reminder that no platform, however large, is invincible. That's why you can't put all of your eggs in one basket, folks, if you're a streamer. Pardon me. Let's keep going. Next article is over in the Mobile Channel. The world's largest vacuum is here to suck pollution from the air. A Swiss company called Climeworks has constructed a giant vacuum cleaner called Mammoth. It's supposedly the world's largest direct air capture plant, meaning that it is designed to capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere in the hopes of fighting climate change. The technology works by sucking in air, and then it swirls around chemicals to strip away its carbon. And that carbon can then be injected deep underground or can be recycled and turned into products. Find it really fascinating. If they can do anything with carbon, then that's great. And it's akin to a petroleum product in that petroleum products, we talked about it yesterday, and the number red, the color number red number 3. Sorry, my brain. Red number 3 and red number 40 and orange and other colors are actually byproducts of petroleum manufacturing, which I found really fascinating. So if you can't drink oil, then why do you think a byproduct of it can be consumed without any deleterious effects to your biology? And we're finding out that's not the case. So, I mean, if it's natural, then you should be able to consume it. But processed byproducts are hardly ever, consumable. Anyway, Climeworks will be injecting this recycled or captured carbon into the ground, into solid rock, essentially trapping the carbon in a solid state, kind of like carbonite, Han Solo they mentioned here from Star Wars. But I always have a problem with this because just because it's stored doesn't mean that some seismic event won't cause it to be released, and then we just have to do it all over again. So as the CNN article above linked, and it explains that Mammoth is expected to remove 36,000 tons of CO2 every year. That essentially cancels out the existence of 7,800 gas-powered cars. The problem is that the cost of removing each ton is close to $1,000. That's way higher than $100 per ton threshold. That's seen necessary for DAC. What is it called? I think it's like direct air capture. Yeah. Direct air capture is the only, it's the threshold for DAC tech to become economically viable, $100. It's 10 times that. So Climeworks also needs to vastly improve the efficiency of DAC facilities, since the International Energy Agency says that around 70 million tons of carbon needs to be removed annually by 2030. All of the carbon removal equipment on Earth at the moment is currently only capable of removing 0.01 million metric tons of carbon, and we have to remove 70 million. So good luck. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Manatees are flocking to Florida power plants to escape the cold. A polar vortex has dropped temperatures in Florida, wreaking havoc on the local wildlife while the iguanas are falling from the trees. State's manatees, yearning for warmer waters, are seeking solace near natural springs and discharge from power plants because it's all warmed up. So, yeah. But don't sit there and say global cooling, folks. You sound like a dummy. Because that's old news. That was a thing that was referenced back in like 1960 or something like that, and it was a bullshit article. So temperatures have only been really going up. As an average around the world, water temperatures are increasing, air temperatures are increasing and becoming more violent, hence the reason why we have what we have going on now. Anyway, manatees are known as a sentinel species, an animal that acts as a living indicator of water or environmental issues that may crop up. They may get run over by boats or get the name of a certain politician etched into their backs. Apparently somebody did that, which is really gross to do to a manatee. But anyway, the manatee's primary threat remains cold stress. Well, they hang out wherever it's warm. So the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission reported 565 manatee deaths in 2024, which is 10 more than the previous year. Those numbers are both way lower than they were back in 2021, though. So 1,100 manatee deaths due to lack of food caused by seagrass destruction from pollution. So at least they're remedying that problem. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Rounders Gear. That's a channel that has to do with table gaming, like poker. And the article is titled Stranded Las Vegas Hiker Saves Own Life with Website Update. The article is from casino.org, and Corey Levitan put the article together. David Smith thought he loved rugged mountain hikes. For the past 20 years, the web designer and marketing writer has devoted the better part of a day a week to them. He also loves documenting these hikes on his website, Las Vegas areatrails.com. That was hard to read. Capitalized. Come on. Anyway, I mean, it doesn't matter the context, so you could have just... Anyway, and that's what saved their life. In April, Smith decided to up his game. He set out with a group of experienced mountain climbers for what they told him would be a 10-hour hike through Red Rock Canyon just west of Las Vegas. That's not the best idea in ideal weather for climbing a novice, but in 95 degrees, it's much worse. So involved they were in taking pictures and videos that they didn't realize that they were substituting rest time for the activity of picture and video documentation. The sum total of no rest plus playing catch-up all the way to Rainbow Wall summit was quietly adding to a growing exhaustion factor. So the next morning, Smith convinced the others to finish the hike without him, assuring that he would be fine heading back to the trailhead on his own. That last 1.9-mile stretch along the Knoll Trail toward the Pine Creek Canyon trailhead, they knew that they were in trouble. So they modified their website, apparently. It was while resting in the shade of a boulder with a wet towel on his head that Smith heard his name called. Interesting. So yeah, he modified his website. So Smith wrote on his website, the sum total of no rest plus playing catch-up all the way to Rainbow Wall Summit was quietly adding to a growing exhaustion factor. And that update led rescue workers. They basically escorted him out of the canyon. One of them informed Smith that their team had an opening if he was interested. So, bully. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over on the Marvel Channel. Meteorite crash in Canada is caught by a home security camera in likely world first video footage. A space rock recorded with visuals and sound landed where the homeowner had been standing just minutes earlier. Okay, that one is because security around the mayoral mansion has actually caught a meteorite, but never one that crashed directly like where I could go and pick it up. That's fascinating. Margarita Bassi over at SmithsonianMag.com put the article together. The shocking event took place July 2024 and was announced in a statement by the University of Alberta on Monday. It sounded like a loud crashing gunshot bang. The homeowner, Joe Valadim, tells the Canadian press, Lindsay Armstrong. Valadim wasn't home to hear the sound in person, however. Last summer, he and his partner, Laura Kelly, noticed strange star-shaped gray debris in front of their house after returning from a walk with their dogs. So apparently they got the pieces, right? A couple initially located or collected 0.25 ounces of fragments from the grass surrounding the impact site, and they later returned wielding a vacuum and magnet to recover more pieces. Suspecting something literally astronomical, they reported the event through the University of Alberta's Meteorite reporting system. So the meteorite left a small divot on the homeowner's walkway. As the first and only meteorite from the province of PEI, the Charlottetown meteorite sure announced its arrival in a spectacular way. Pretty cool. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. CFPB sued for trying to regulate digital payment apps more like banks. Two major tech trade groups are challenging the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's effort to treat payment apps and digital wallets like banks. In a lawsuit filed in a federal court in Washington, D.C., NetChoice and TechNet claims that the CFPB's digital payment regulation announced on November 21st, 2024 is arbitrary and capricious. I went through this same process when PayPal was being created. I created a similar service, and I couldn't keep up with the regulatory controls. And eventually they got turned into and treated like a bank as well, because they were handling cash and storing stuff. So the CFPB's unlawful power grab determines the rule of law, or undermines the rule of law, further bloats the administrative state, and puts American consumers and innovation at risk. No, it doesn't. Any regulation on a companies cannot be trusted to regulate themselves. Sorry. While some haven't done anything and swear up and down that they won't do anything, most companies will abuse their power position to the detriment of a consumer until overt abuse takes place or an unbelievable amount of harm is displayed. And you can take all kinds of chemical related stuff, frying pans and whatnot. It's just disgusting. Anyway, I'll get sidetracked if I keep talking about this. The article is over at TheVerge.com. Gabby DeValier put the article together. And NetChoice and TechNet are challenging the Bureau's effort to oversee compliance with federal fraud and privacy laws by Apple Pay, Google Wallet, Cash App, Venmo, and others. Again, this has all the hallmarks. The feeling that I get from this is what I got when I went through all of this, the pain and suffering of my startup back then. So this is the second lawsuit related to the regulation. Google filed a lawsuit in December after the CFPB placed Google Payment Corp. Under federal supervision. In a statement to The Verge, Google spokesperson Jose Castaneda called the rule a clear case of government overreach, and I will never believe that. The rule, which went into effect in late December, lets the CFPB oversee digital payment processors' compliance with federal privacy and fraud laws through proactive examinations. The Bureau estimated that the apps included under the rule include Apple and Google and PayPal and Venmo and Cash App. But NetChoice and TechNet claim that the CFPB didn't sufficiently identify consumer risks or gaps in oversight that would justify the rule. Yeah, they can only see what they can see. So this gives them more opportunity to see. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Threats of SpaceX rocket debris forcing flight delays over Indian Ocean routes. Australian airline Qantas delayed some flights by up to 6 hours to avoid potential rocket debris over the Indian Ocean. I actually saw a video of a plane that was flying in the direction of the debris and had to divert. Because what happened was, okay, so the article is over in Gizmodo.com by Todd Feathers. And so Starship plus its booster went up to space. The booster came back down and was caught by the chopsticks. And then the Starship actually disintegrated before it even got to entry or to fully go out into space, from what I understand. But SpaceX has completed 8 launches since the beginning of the year, including a Falcon 9 launch on Wednesday carrying 2 landers built by private space companies Firefly and iSpace. They are both headed to the moon. The company has also been attempting to launch the 7th test flight of the Starship mega rocket, but weather forced it to pause. This time, it basically ate itself. They're trying to make changes to their schedule in advance. The timing of the recent launches have moved around at late notice, which has meant we had to delay some flights just prior to departure. But really what's going on is the debris is coming back in, and any plane that might be affected now has to delay. So there's a bunch of more information here in this article, but that's the nuts and bolts of it. The latest Starship kind of ate itself. And, it's taxpayers' dollars, so, Musk doesn't worry about it. Anyway, the next article is over in the Mobile Channel, Warner Brothers might be planning on new Gremlins and Goonies movies, which I think would be fun if they don't try and rely on the historical record of it other than, the canon that's there. But I've always thought that it's weird for Gremlins, don't feed them after midnight. But what is the other time frame? Because every day is after midnight. After midnight. Anyway, Warner Brothers might be planning on new Gremlins and Goonies movies. So Gizmodo put the article together. James Whitbrook and Gordon Jackson put the article together, actually. And it's posted at gizmodo.com. Plus, a Resident Evil 0 movie could be in the works, apparently. According to a recent report from Deadline, Warner Brothers is still actively working with Christopher Columbus on a new Gremlins movie. Deadline also talks about a Goonies 2 movie. Resident Evil leaker Dusk Golem via Bloody Disgusting opines over a series of tweets that Screen Gems Constantine Films must release a new Resident Evil once every 5 years in order to retain the franchise rights. Pardon me. Losing my voice. And there's a Swamp Thing possible movie which that would be interesting if that got brought back to life. And Fear Street Prom Queen, according to Bloody Disgusting again, Fear Street Prom Queen has been rated R for strong violence and gore and drug use and language and sexual references. And then there's Inhabitants. A young couple is haunted by the vengeful ghost of their childhood youth minister. And Mayfair Witches, a spoiler TV, has a synopsis and images from Cover the Mirrors, this week's episode of Mayfair Witches, and more over at this article. Warner Brothers might be planning on new Gremlins and Goonies movies, but then they go off the rails and talk about other stuff. All right, let's keep on going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Astronauts prepare to tackle critical repairs in historic ISS Spacewalk. 2 NASA astronauts have completed their preparations for their first spacewalk of 2025, which will focus on servicing astrophysics equipment aboard the ISS. The ISS is on its way to being decommissioned and pushed back into orbit, or into entry, and it'll tear itself up. Meanwhile, the rest of the Expedition 72 crew divided their time between supporting the spacewalk efforts and continuing human research activities. The article is by NASA and posted over at scitechdaily.com. And in all of these cases, you can follow the show notes. The links are embedded there. But you can also, when we're doing a live stream, we also attach the show notes to Omatron, which is the channel bot over on Twitch. So for Non Sequitur News, you can hit ! or bang NSN. And that will pull the latest episode's show notes. That's in Omatron. The Time Machine episodes, unless they're live, we don't put them into Omatron because we're going to have another show outside of the Time Machine. Anyway, so NASA flight engineer Nick Hague and ISS Commander Sonny Williams are scheduled to begin their 6.5-hour spacewalk on Thursday at 8 a.m. estimated Eastern Standard Time, not estimated, I'm a dumbass. After exiting the Quest airlock, and they'll work on the repairing light leaks in the NICER X-ray telescope and prepare the alpha magnetic spectrometer for future upgrades. The skilled spacewalkers will also replace critical engineering components that help maintain the station's orientation and provide vital navigation data. NASA Plus will begin the live coverage, so I think you have to subscribe to that. Fascinating. Anyway, there you go. And our last article for today's Time Machine for January 16th, 2025 is over in the Continuity Report. Timothy Chalamet got a $73 fine after riding a bike to the A Complete Unknown London premiere to beat traffic, and apparently he didn't park it properly. The global press tour for A Complete Unknown went viral when he rode an electric Lime bike into the London premiere of the acclaimed Bob Dylan movie. It turns out Chalamet did not park the bike properly, and he was met with a £60 fine. He revealed while promoting the movie in France. Zach Scharf over at Variety.com put the article together, and it says it's ecological. Chalamet said when he was asked about his decision to ride an electric bike to the premiere of a major film like A Complete Unknown. The actor then admitted it all came down to beating traffic. In order to make it to the premiere on time, he hopped on a bike instead of taking a car. The actor's press tour for A Complete Unknown has been full of memorable moments. He appeared as a co-host on ESPN's College Game Day in December, and then some social media tizzy as by sporting some blonde highlights in order to recreate one of Bob Dylan's most divisive looks. The press tour has worked in the film's favor, as A Complete Unknown has been one of the Searchlight Pictures' biggest hits in recent years, with $51 million and counting at the domestic box office. Chalamet's earned critical acclaim for his performance as Bob Dylan in the film, according to this article. So, not bad. Yeah, so I watched this happen. I thought it was kind of interesting. Well, I saw it happen. He just showed up on a Lime bike. Ta-da! And then he just parked it, plopped the kickstand out, and went off on his own. Why he should get a fine for that, I'll never know. I thought that this would have been a private location where somebody else could have taken that bike and put it somewhere effectively out of the way. But apparently you have to follow a certain rule. I don't know what that rule is, though. So I'm going to hop on a Lime bike, and that's going to bring us back to the front page of ohmtown.com, and I am going to say bye and hop out of that time machine and let it cool down for the next episode. Once I am out, it will be January 17th, 2025, and hopefully Mayor Watt will be able to do tonight's episode, but we'll see. All right, I'm out. See you later.